Brothers and sisters, hey, thanks for joining me again. It's really been a rough week or two with the murder of the poor Ukrainian girl on the train and Charlie Kirk. But I saw another story that's not getting much press just because of the way the algorithms work and the focus on Charlie Kirk, because that was just so shocking. And he was a celebrity somewhat and a political figure. So that's dominating all news. But I also wanted to talk about this other story. There was a shooting where children were shot again in Colorado. And I didn't want to just let that go without talking about it. And I don't normally talk about specific shootings because they're all heartbreaking and they happen far too often. And again, I'm going to say it right up front what I always say. There's too many guns in this country to put your head in the sand and say we need more gun laws. Criminals and the mentally ill do not obey gun laws. The right answer is we need to get rid of these gun-free zones. We need to harden the schools with better security, including armed police officers. And we need more money put into identifying and treating mental health, and also into improving what does due process look like for somebody that we think is mentally ill. And then once a judge decides based on the law that they are mentally ill, then yes, we should take away that person's gun rights. I am for the Second Amendment, but I am also for keeping guns out of the hands of the mentally ill. And I know that's a slippery slope, and how do you apply that and all that, but that's what I think. And I'll throw it out there. I did a video on this a week or two ago. Trump has said he's looking into banning trans folks from having guns because there have been several mass shooters recently, mostly in seems like Catholic schools or Catholic churches that have been shooting them up. And so he wants to classify all trans people as mentally ill. I don't agree with that. I don't like banning an entire group of the population because I don't believe all trans people are mentally ill, but I do believe there are mentally ill trans people, just like there are in any other population. So we need to focus on those. But let's get back to this other school shooting and let's see what we know about it, because I don't think it's getting any attention, or it's not really getting enough attention because of the tragedy that happened to Charlie Kirk in Utah. So this is out of the Daily Mail. Pictured, Colorado school shooter Desmond Holley, 16, fired at children before dying of self-inflicted gunshot. So this is awful. So here's a picture of the shooter, 16-year-old, a troubled kid. Sucks. The Colorado shooter who opened fire again and again on fellow high school students on Wednesday has been named and pictured by police. Desmond Holley, 16, is shown in his driving license photo released by Jefferson County Sheriff's Office in the aftermath of the horror. Holley died from self-inflicted gunshot wound after he fired at terrified children at Evergreen High School close to Denver during their lunch break just after noon. Let's go ahead and watch this video.
We have a lot of new information to share this morning. We want to identify our suspect. His name is Desmond Holley. He's 16 years old, obviously a student at Evergreen High School. Mark is going to be releasing a photo of him via Twitter now, so that you guys have that. I think that's his driver's license. We know that the suspect had a handgun. He had to keep reloading. He would fire and reload, fire and reload, fire and reload. This went on and on. And as he did that, he tried to find new targets. And he came up against a roadblock on many of those doors. We have security at both of the hospitals where our victims are, still in critical condition. No one has been released.
All right, there we go. So we just heard the police statement. Normally in the U.S., you don't release information on minors, but I do believe that he died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. And so because he's deceased, they're okay with releasing his details. So let's see what else we got here. 2 students were rushed to hospital. Sheriff spokesperson Jackie Kelly said one victim has been discharged while the other remains in critical condition. We know that the suspect had a handgun, Kelly told the press conference on Thursday. He had to keep reloading. He would fire and reload, fire and reload, fire and reload. This went on and on. As he did that, he tried to find new targets. Lots of kids ran, but the ones who didn't were locked down and they were being cared for, she added. Kelly said the first shots were fired from inside the school grounds, but the chaos spilled out into the street behind the school where the second victim was shot. A suspected motive has not been disclosed, but Kelsey said Holley was radicalized by some extremist network. The details of that will come down the road, she said. Yeah, it's a sad day. It's a sad day in Colorado today. So police running to the school. Yeah, here we go. Death. Holly died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound after he fired at terrified children at Evergreen High School close to Denver during their lunch break just after noon. Holly used a revolver, and detectives are investigating who owned the weapon. Kelly told the Daily Mail that the police are in contact with Holly's parents, who are cooperating with the investigation. During an earlier press conference in the immediate aftermath of the shooting, Kelly said a lot of kids indicated they were shot at. We have a lot of interviews to do, she said on Wednesday. Several students caught up in the horror opened up about what they experienced in the hours following the shooting. Evergreen High ninth grader Cameron Jones said he was eating lunch outside when he heard 3 gunshots. A security guard then told him to run. He said how he never believed a shooting would happen at Evergreen, which is in a quiet, leafy Denver suburb. I thought this was like a 1 in a million thing, and it still feels surreal that it happened, Jones told Colorado Public Radio. So this is a shot from above the school. So parent Wendy Newman said her daughter didn't answer her phone right away after the shooting. When the 15-year-old finally called back, it was from a borrowed phone. She just said she was okay. She couldn't hardly speak, Newman told the Denver Post, holding back tears. She gathered that her daughter had run away from the school. It's super scary, she said. We feel like we live in a little bubble here. Obviously, no one is immune. Yeah, you would never expect this in a Colorado suburb. So, I mean, if it can happen here, it can happen anywhere in America. Photographs shared by police on Wednesday show several officers and sheriffs running towards the school wearing bulletproof vests. Several emergency vehicles could also be seen lining the streets close to the school. All right, so that's a short story. Yeah, so what do I think about this? It's tragic, it's shocking. I don't know what's going on. There's something wrong with society because America has had guns for as long as there's been in America, and we've not had school shootings. This is a new phenomenon since Columbine. I really don't remember it before that. And so something has changed, and I have to think it's the internet. And this really makes you think. One other thing I'll add to my earlier rant is I think kids need to be banned from social media. They're bullying each other. They're saying he was radicalized. We'll get more information on that later. What does that mean? I don't like that kids have the ability to bully each other's on the internet. I don't like that they can interact with adults in the internet. So that's what I think the problem is. I think the internet's fine for information gathering, and I think kids should have it for that. It's the interaction that's a problem. So until you hit the age of majority, I don't think you should have access to forum type things on the internet, because I don't think kids should be interacting with adults on the internet. That's dangerous. I don't think kids should be bullying each other on the internet. I think that's dangerous. I know the devil's in the details. How do you implement that? But somehow I think we need to find a way to do that. We can't do it like they did in the UK with the Online Safety Act, because it needs to just be to target kids. If you're going to do something for kids' safety, let's make it about kids' safety. Let's not also piggyback back off it and create police groups or MI5 groups or whatever they have to monitor for people complaining about migrants. These same laws should not be used on adults. So again, I'll go back to what I said before. This is tragic. We need better mental health. We need to identify kids that are in crisis and stop this. And then we can't put our heads in the sand. There are guns in this country. They're not going away anytime soon. There is no political will to do that. Anytime anyone says, hey, because of this, whatever this is, we're going to have new gun laws, they're just putting their heads in the sand and virtue signaling. There are not the votes for that. Most Americans want to have guns. And even many, many, many Democrats want to have guns. And so because so many guns exist, you have to do something to stop the shootings other than getting rid of the guns, because that's impossible. So again, you need better resources on mental health. You need better processes to commit people, get people the treatment they need, and harden the schools. The schools where I live in my community has a police officer every day out visible directing traffic when the school comes in and when the school goes. And then I see him every day walk into the school, and he stays in school all day long, and the car is parked out front. So we need better armed security in the schools. We can't just go, oh, we can't have guns in schools. Criminals and mental patients don't obey the rules. I'm really sorry for this child. He went through a crisis and he's dead now because we didn't get him the help he needed. For me, this is just actually as important as Charlie Kirk, because for me, all lives matter. Violence is not the answer. So that's what I'm thinking. And if you like me, like and subscribe. If I got something wrong, tell me. If there's something else we should be doing about guns in schools to protect children, I really just don't see any other option in America today. Thanks, Bob.